No doubt there is a strong connection between athletic success and mindset. In fact, it can make the difference between gold, silver, or bronze in the highly competitive Olympics or success in any sport. Today, we dive into mindfulness, mental health, and how it plays a role in performance on and off the court or field. Hello, and welcome to Living Well with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life. I am so pleased to welcome author and sports psychologist Dr. Peter Economou, who leads a behavioral health and wellness program at Rutgers University. Dr. Pete, as he is affectionately known, provides crucial support to student athletes, and he joins us now. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thanks for having me, Robin. This is going to be great.
Absolutely. So, talk to me about some of the issues that you address with these student athletes, how you go about it, and how we can use some of what you do and relate it to our own lives.
Yeah, like life is sport. A good colleague friend of mine wrote that, Jonathan Fader, a book called Life is Sport. And it's true. I mean, everything we're doing, if you really think about it, we're all trying to be our best selves. And there's a lot of competition, starts with siblings, and any kind of workplace is going to create some kind of healthy competition. And so that's really where this comes down to. The athletes that we work with are struggling with the things that all your listeners are struggling with. I mean, that's the reality of it is, everybody is swimming in the same flavored soup. Like everybody. That's one of the metaphors. It's the sort of Eastern idea that everything and everyone is suffering. And so the people for in a weird way, when we watch sports, we think that our athletes or our favorite athletes are not, but they are.
Absolutely. And I think we know when, say, a baseball player goes into a slump or
Yes.
somebody just isn't performing, they have the athletic ability. We've seen them do it. So,
Yeah.
what is it? Sometimes it's just something in between their ears. And you really work with your students there at Rutgers to help them figure that out. And it's not just success on the field, but also in their classroom and their lives, because there's a lot of pressure being an athlete.
There is a lot of pressure, and so I think I work across multiple universities and all the professional leagues, and but I do really love that, I'm one of two research professors also within athletics, at a Power 5 Research One institute, being Rutgers. But I have to give a shout out to Seton Hall, because 15 years ago is where I started this, and is on this pathway to develop a sports psychology program. But I'm passionate about the student athlete because, having worked with executives and professional athletes, you can teach an old dog new trick, straight up, like you can.
Hmm.
But if we could get it at the NCAA level, I think that we can intervene earlier and really have a healthier, adult or like working professional once they're done with their sport. Because the bottom line is, very few, like small percentage, maybe 1 to 2% of student athletes become professional athletes, and even less of them can actually make a living on it. And so we know that that's what's helpful, is like the degree, and all the relationships and connections that you build are probably equally as helpful, to the sport and that resilience, grit that we develop as athletes.
What are some of the issues that you address with these athletes?
So depression, anxiety, any trauma, those are probably some of the main issues that we see. Body image, and eating issues. That's other sort of behavioral concerns around that. Uh, it's curious time right now. The sports wagering has absolutely like blown up,
Hmm.
and so I think that that's also the stress of social media. So really, just this impact that today's world has had on behavioral health, both mentally, emotionally, cognitively, psychologically. So it really is kind of this gamut of stuff. One thing I like to think about is like life is a spectrum, and so we might be working on those things, but we may also be working on just being a better athlete or a better person or a better partner or son. So it really is the spectrum of like, I'm struggling with something like deep and real, to I just want to be better and learn some like amazing mental skills.
Right, absolutely. And we all can use that, even every one of us, whether we're a top athlete or not.
That's
And
right.
so how are the students about coming to you? Do you find that they're a little hesitant? Are we getting over the stigma of taking care of our mental health? If you broke your leg, you'd go to the doctor to
Yeah.
to get that fixed. Why not? why do we seem that, we can't give our mind the same amount of credit or the same amount of attention?
It's a great question, Robin, and I do think we have gotten over that hump. I do believe that we have worked hard to destigmatize, and that's why I think I remember, to your point, if you broke your leg, you went to the doctor. But I remember when I first started this, it was like taboo. Like I was
Hmm.
down at the end of the hallway, and people didn't want to talk to me. Now, I'm in team meetings. I'm coming to talk with the team. I'm
You
just
normalize, you
around.
made it normal. You made it
Y-
normal, just like you would
Yes,
go to your trainer. This is a trainer for your mind. If you look at
exactly.
it that way, that's just as important. And we know sports psychologists are all over for, major professional athletes. It's really important for them to, to their mind as well as their body has to be in shape. So tell me, like, I know you can't name a student
Yes.
or whatever, but just tell me, an example of someone that you might have helped and what the process is.
Well, I mean, I'll give, you opened the segment with talking about the Olympics a bit, like,
Yes.
gold, silver, and bronze. And so in this beautiful Olympic time, I think, just shout out to the sacrifice that they give. And really, there's been a shout out to the role of sports psychologists in many of these athletes. Lyles Noah, who just won the 100-meter, for America for men's, Simone Biles, lots of
Hmm.
attention to her
Amazing.
therapist.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that that's what we're working with. My colleagues across the country, and myself are working with the people at that level. I mean, that's what we do, and it's really a blessing to be able to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, you can really change the path of someone's
Yes.
life. And
Yeah.
you're a big proponent of taking time and really sitting and thinking on your own. You're a big proponent of that. Talk to us a little bit about that.
High performers are always trying to seek to get to the next level, and that's a good thing. And you can't get there until you accept where you are. And so I think that's important for people to really sit with that and to like hear that, because we are in a society today where you get in the car, you get home, the first thing you do is turn on the radio or turn on the TV.
Yes. Hmm.
You might do that too, Robin. I don't know. Maybe you don't, but uh,
I try to get my workout in first.
yeah. So, you know, we are afraid of stillness because the culture that we live in says phones and devices allow for us to have access to information immediately.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
we're addicted to that.
Oh my
And
gosh, my 20-year-old daughter, I mean, her head is down all the time. I
yeah,
only see the top of her head. It's just if there's downtime, she picks up her phone. It's like
yeah,
and I think so many of us do it. I mean, it's just like an automatic habit.
yeah.
But you're
Well,
big
I
on meditation.
I am, and Robin, I say, and I think you'll appreciate this. Like your daughter doesn't know how to be bored.
Yes.
Like that's the thing about this culture is they don't know how to be bored. You and I had to wait online without a phone in our pocket.
How did we survive?
Like you had to
Yeah.
deal with a plane delay. You had to deal
Yeah.
with, somebody paying with a check at the grocery store
Yeah.
and writing it out. And like,
It's
you
like
know,
it's an immediate culture. It's immediate.
yes,
We need satisfaction. It's a,
yes,
Venmo, there's no check, there's Venmo, there's PayPal. It's You're right. I think it does make people's mind almost go a million miles an hour instead of just slowing it down.
just slowing
And,
it down.
meditation, I think do you still have meditation Mondays? I
I
was
sure
reading
do.
that you do
Yes.
that. And how does
Yeah.
that work? What do you do with that?
Well, we try and we also have I think you would appreciate Wellness Wednesdays. And
I
so
love it. I do.
just the work on words to get people in, and some's for staff, some's for coaches, some's for athletes. And so like a meditation Monday is an opportunity for either someone to come and learn how to, or for those with the practice to find like to have a space in the community to come do it. So, we have the Zafus and Zabutons. I was trained. I've studied for 15 years, almost a little bit more, in Zen Buddhism with my teacher, and it's been a beautiful gift to share. It's non secular. So whatever someone's religious identity is, it fits within it. It's a beautiful adjunct to life. Prayer or anything else that somebody has, they can do it, and it's an opportunity to for athletes or high performers to exercise their brain. So, I'll ask, listeners to think about what have you done to exercise your brain? And we don't do as much. Like you talked about, making sure you get your exercise, like your workout in before
Hmm.
you transition. What are we doing for our brain? And I don't think most of us are not giving it the same amount of attention that we're giving our body.
Absolutely not. It's
Yeah.
changing because I've done many interviews with mental health professionals, and I know it is changing, but it certainly isn't. We are not focusing on that. And
Yeah.
how can meditation? I'm going to be honest. I've tried to meditate.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm doing it right or not. I'm sitting still, and I'm trying. I know they say you're never good. You always have to think about something. It's not like your mind goes blank, but you
Right.
want to just push thoughts away, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
sort of what it is?
Well,
No?
it,
I'm not
it
sure.
it's not that
Yeah.
it's a double negative. um I think what we really are trying to do is to allow them to come in and to allow them to pass away. I don't want to push them away because that takes energy, and physics has taught us that we get equal energy back. So if I'm pushing away, it's coming back with equal to greater
Yes.
force. That's the way I think about it. So, and there's also, Robin, no right or wrong way. So that's, I think, a key factor. There will be people, I'm sure, that you've even interviewed that will say this is the way to do it. I think my cognitive and psychological flexibility, which has come with my practice, says there's no right or wrong way, and whatever works for somebody, that's cool. Like, and so you got to find what works for you. So,
Mhm.
like, if you're somebody that sits there and doesn't know if they're doing it right, and they spend so much that makes them anxious, maybe a guided meditation, maybe some music, maybe
Yes.
some sound bowls, maybe hiking, like
Yes,
you could,
I'm more of a movement person. I'd rather
yeah,
maybe walk on the beach, and you
cool.
can meditate that way, right? I mean, you
Yep,
don't have to sit
that could
still.
be it. Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, that's kind of works more for me. If I'm out in nature, that's more
Yeah.
my thing rather than just sitting still. I get a little, I don't know what it is. I get a little rammy. And maybe it's just I haven't done it enough. So some people have said to me, it's just like anything else. You're going to go out and play tennis one day, your first day, and be great at it. You
Yeah.
have to practice.
That's right.
So, and yoga is part of that as well, right? I mean, there's sort of a mindset with yoga.
Yeah, yoga is an active way. I think, most professional teams now have yoga at least once a week. Sometimes it's optional. Most of the times it's not optional. It's a team activity. So, like, I do think these, the billion-dollar industry in sports and sports science has realized, the impact that the mind and wellness has on performance. And so, why don't we also do that? But you don't need a fancy membership, and you don't need $1 billion to do
Mhm.
this.
Mhm, and one of your quotes, you said, "There's little else we can do that can change our brains, change our
Yes.
minds." And how does that work? What does it actually do?
Well, it's a really great question because, this is sort of that's where like modern medicine is really amazing. It's the first time that we could really blend East and West, where we can take these like Eastern practices like meditation and take Western science where we could actually image the brain, like do a functional MRI and see how the brain changes. And we see that there's like skeletal kind of gray matter shifts occur. There's density improves, areas of emotion regulation like the amygdala, the nucleus will shift. Now, these are all like intangibles because I can't, I could see my bicep in the mirror, but I can't see my amygdala change. But we know it is happening. And so
Right.
I think that that's what's key is so that's part of the educational piece that I'll bring to, coaches or athletes and say, like, this is like in the 80s, this is your brain on drugs. Well, now we can actually like show what the brain looks like after it's meditated. And there's a, significant evidence that it's improving, the neurological pathways and the functionality of the brain overall.
That is incredible. Is there
Yeah,
any connection to that and, maintaining cognitive ability as you get older?
really good question. So no, so because we've been studying the brain just for about 15, 20 years, believe it or not.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Really?
Whereas yeah, I mean, if you think about, we've been like open heart surgery over 100 years ago. So we
Uh-huh.
understand some of this stuff a lot more. And if anyone's ever had an MRI, you know that it takes an entire room for that machine to take a picture of any part of your body. That's what computers used to look like in the 80s.
Mhm.
So, it's a really good sort of way to think about how this is evolving, like in front of our eyes. So, and there's a very famous study called the Nun study, and this came out of oh God, what's that? The Mayo Clinic. So
Hmm.
it is the largest study of controlled brains. And what happened was the nuns that had the higher emotional intelligence, they preserved their brain as they aged more. Whereas the nuns that maybe demonstrate a little lower emotional intelligence, um, they ended up developing dementia or those cognitive deficits from the outside,
Hmm.
the phenotype that we see. You know, and one of the main protective factors was like the communal kind of prayer and community. That so that we need community. We are
Yes.
communal beings. We need emotional awareness and intelligence, and understanding and insight, but all of that to say, you know, um, phenotypically, like a nun that was maybe presenting with dementia, sometimes her brain posthumously was gorgeous. There was no neurofibrillary or no tangles, and the reverse was true. So that somebody that actually had like was presenting as like totally intact, her brain was full of neurotangles. So it just tells us that we don't really know enough yet to understand how some of this neurology is actually affecting behavior.
That is just
Yeah.
like mind blowing. It really is. It's mind blowing to think about it. And hopefully we'll get a handle on it and, down the road, maybe
Yeah.
find a cure for dementia and Alzheimer's and so forth. I mean, we're going a little off track, but I think, people listening, everybody wants to grow older and, develop and
Yeah.
well and function well and have their brain function. So it's important for everyone, especially athletes if they're getting concussions or they're getting hit in the head. I mean,
Yeah.
that I know is a factor as well.
Yeah. Well, and I think just to keep it back on task is that, you know, meditating with a group of people is that communal thing. Meditation provides emotional intelligence and awareness and insight. So there's evidence that by doing that, then you're less likely to develop the dementia. And I think over the next 5 or 10 years, we'll probably be able to like qualify that with some of the imaging studies. And you brought up concussion, so that is a certain concern. And one of my studies now is looking at using meditation as a mediating factor, to the brain resolving the concussion at a faster rate by somebody who is meditating versus someone who's not meditating. So again, we don't know the answer to it yet, so it's going to be cool to see like what the science tells us.
It's very, very interesting. It's amazing, really. And your book is sitting on the shelf behind you. Talk to me about that. You actually help people. I could probably use that. Really learn how to meditate.
I'll send you a copy. But
Oh,
yeah,
well,
it's
thank you.
the mindfulness workbook for beginners. I mean, it is the publishers told me the only or first book out there that's general. A lot of mindfulness workbooks are specific to dementia, depression, anxiety, eating disorders. This is a very general how to, so if someone is thinking about maybe developing a mindfulness practice, which for me, mindfulness is the umbrella,
Hmm.
that could be the hiking or the beach. Meditation is only one way to get there, so there's
Hmm.
lots of different ways you could think about being mindful. And it is the practice of mindfulness that contributes to all the benefits that I've mentioned so far today.
And what is the name of your book? I see it behind you, but I can't read
The
it.
mindfulness workbook for beginners.
Mindfulness workbook for beginners, and you can get that on Amazon.
You sure can.
Oh, that would help everyone. So, in closing, we talked about a lot of subjects here. What can we take away? What can we walk away? I know what I need to do. I need
Yeah.
to start meditating.
Yeah.
No, I know because I just feel like it would. I know someone that does it every morning. She said it has changed her life. She does it like 20 minutes in the
Yeah.
morning. It's not a big deal. It doesn't
No.
take a lot, but she
No.
said it changed her life. And most people are running out the door in the morning. That 20 minutes is like that's precious time getting the
Yeah.
kids off to school or so it's a matter of getting yourself up earlier than everyone else
Yes.
and doing it then. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
So the advice is just to take that next step. I mean, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes, Robin. It could be
mhm,
just while you're brushing your teeth tonight.
mhm.
Like you could build it into something that you're already doing, make it more accessible. And then once you start to see that there are certain benefits of it, you might sort of consider the way that you can integrate and cultivate that in your life. But it just takes one step. That's it.
Yes. yes. And it's so good for the athletes because especially if you have someone, as I mentioned earlier, in a slump, or if
Yes.
they have a bad play or something goes wrong, a bad game or whatever it is, they could spiral. They could really spiral.
Yeah,
And
I mean, and all of us can spiral, and like
yes.
a child can make someone spiral. A boss can make you spiral. A
Hmm.
partner can make you spiral. So
Yeah,
life can make you spiral. Meditation can help you just from spiraling.
that's fantastic. I just love that. Again, the book's name?
Mindfulness workbook for beginners.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Pete. You are amazing, really.
Thank you, Robin.
I appreciate it. Dr. Pete Economou, also known as just Dr. Pete. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for being with me for Living Well with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life. Be sure to like and subscribe and give me a review and stay updated on my most recent episode. Until I see you next time, keep living well.